Oceonugad, Yondakwatoan. Hello everybody, my name's Noel Grayson, and today we are going to talk about the art of flint knapping. Well, you know, when I was a young little boy, I was probably about 5 years old, my mother and father, we'd go out to the lake, and one day while we were out there, my mom and dad would find arrowheads and stone tools and stuff. You know, they'd be out there fishing. But one day my father hands me an arrowhead. He picks it up off the ground and hands it to me and tells me, we used to hunt with these. And he gives it to me. Like all little boys, I followed my dad everywhere, right? But when he shows it to me, I'm holding it in my hand looking at it. And I asked him, I'm inquisitive, right? Little kids are. I said, how did they make it? It was a rock. How did they make it? And he turns around. Now this is Cherokee County. You can find rocks just everywhere around here. He picks up a couple of them and he starts hitting them. He said like this, right? And he just starts knocking flakes off of it. And it made complete sense to me. Now when I start flint knapping, a good piece of leather is crucial to me because it protects me, right? Now I'm going to be using this piece of leather to protect my skin. I'm going to be using this, what we call the whiskali, okay, just flint rocks. Now I'm going around this thing looking at it. I've got a flat edge right here. I've got to contend with that. Now I've got an angle right here, but it's not too steep. Now I'm going to have to get rid of that. Now I'm studying the stone, okay? I've got to look for cracks. These cracks in here might have something to do with it, but I think we can still get some tools out of this. Now to break this down, I'm going to be using a hammerstone. Now a larger one actually to begin with, just to get into it. Now you can see on this hammerstone where I have actually used it. You can see where I've been beating on this thing, and I've used it for quite a while. Eventually it will give out, okay? So you're always on the lookout for a new tool. To start with, I'm going to hold it at an angle like this and hit right here. There we go. And I want to get in here and start looking at it and see what's there, because you don't know what's there until you break into it. So with that being said, now flint knapping has been around for a long time. It's one of man's first occupations. It was the making of stone tools. Now if we needed a tool, we simply made it. To make a stone tool, I'm going to be using anything that flakes. Now you can use flint, you can use cherts, chalcedones, agates. Now a lot of times we actually bake this rock to make it more usable. Flint knapping itself is an old technology. Now the first technological advancement was us figuring out that you can bake this stone and make it more glass-like, and it makes it easier to flake. Around Cherokee County, where we're sitting right now, we have a lot of chert. We don't actually have true flint, but the cherts I use, we call it the whiskali, okay? Now, anything that flakes works to do this. The techniques I'm going to show you and demonstrate here are simply going to be your basic carving techniques. I call it carving because that's what I'm doing, okay? I'm carving a rock by flaking it. If I see something I don't like, I build angles. The whole thing is based off of angles, okay? So I'm striking angles or applying pressure to an angle to push flakes off of it. To be doing this demonstration, I'm going to be using the tips of deer antlers, the base of deer antlers, hammer stones, and coarse stones for braiding. Let's go ahead and take it a little bit further. Now this itself, okay, these flakes I knocked off of here, that was our first tools. That's where it all started at, just being able to make a sharp edge. This one right here, you see how steep that is, right? But that thing is razor sharp, and let me give you a demonstration of how sharp it is. This is a good thick piece of leather. Now I'm being careful with it because it's right by my fingers, but you can see how sharp that is, and you see how thick it is, but it's got a good edge to it, right? Now, that's your first tool. That's where it all started at, just being able to do that. Now, being able to control that flake. I'm going to downsize on this one and use this smaller hammer stone to remove a flake. Now I'm going to hit this angle. I want to take a flake off down in this area. that might hamper it a little bit. You always got to be looking at it, okay? And looking for these cracks. You're not flaking cracks, you're trying to stay away from those cracks. Cracks are just an invitation for the thing to break. Now, we can probably get a good tool out of that after we bake it. You can see how we can control these flakes, right? Peeling a flake off of it. Now with this, I'll go around this entire thing taking a flake here, take a flake there, take a flake here, flip it over, take a flake here, take a flake there, and I'll start thinning this down. In the meantime, getting lots of tools to be able to use. You can't actually use metal such as steel, like a framing hammer, okay? Because a framing hammer, when it hits, it releases its energy too fast. A lot of times it'll shatter, okay? But with antler, it's a soft. Now you can use copper too. Now it's not a sin to use copper because Cherokees did have copper. We had a copper mine in the southeast that was actually in use clean up until about 1950s. But we also traded, okay? We had trade routes all over North America. But I use antler myself. Antler, because it's softer, will hit and release its energy slowly. Now, when I use antlers, as you see, I have different size antlers here, ranging, right, in weight and thickness. Now, this basically is like a sledgehammer, okay? That is a framing hammer, right? And I'll switch from these different sizes, different tools for different occasions. At certain times I want to hit something, take a big flake off and start working my way down. Ending with doing fine detail work, if you want to call it fine, with nothing more than the tips of deer antlers. Now I'm going to be using these to simply push flakes off. And it's all technique. You don't got to be strong to do this. You just have to understand what's going on. Now, once you get it down like this, you downsize. Now I'm using the base of an antler right here, but you can use stones. You can use hammer stones to do this with too. Now, I'm going to take this and I got a sharp edge. I don't want to hit that sharp edge, remember? And I want to change the angle of it just ever so slightly like this. And that's about the angle I want. I think I can get that. I'm going to strike it right here, remove a flake down here, and remove some of that mass. See how that's done? Now, I'll continue to do this, looking at it, saying, okay, now that I've got that thick spot out, I want to take a flake right here and take that thick spot out. I'm just going to keep removing flakes, much like we did the big stone. Now, working it down like this, it takes time, and to me, it's like looking at a Rubik's Cube and figuring it out, but all I'm doing is carving a rock. Let me look at that. Now you have to pay attention to the convexity and the concavity on the face of the stone. You don't want to drop flakes into concave areas. You want to have that convexity to it. And that's why I look at it like this. I could probably get that flake, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to, because mainly I don't like little spots like that. And so I'm probably going to get that from the other side. I'll save that for later. You don't have to solve all your problems. You can save them, think about them for a while. That's a good one to take in life too. You don't got to solve them. They won't go away, but there's going to come a time that you're going to be able to fix them. I've actually entered art shows using, and they actually have a primitive category for lost arts. Flintknapping being considered a lost art. Okay, now it went from actually utilitarian, okay, we were making these stone tools to get by, okay. Now that's the good thing about stone tools. Old stone tools, that guy didn't have a choice. Okay, nowadays we have a choice, and we can take them to that next level, which puts them in an art form. And we can do some really nice flaking on them, make them look perfect. Even though the guys back then could do it, believe me, they had a lot more skill than what we got because they relied on it. They had to have that skill. Tips like this, we would have used for knives, cutting implements. We would stick them on shafts. We hunted big animals like mastodon, woolly mammoth, the short-faced bear, a giant tree sloth, all the big game like that, all the megafauna we're taking with tools like this. Now the final thing is touching it up, getting the shape. Now this is actually how you sharpen a stone tool, because when they got dull, we didn't just throw them away. We would actually turn around and resharpen that edge, because every time I take a flake off, it leaves a sharp edge on it. Now I'm just using, as you see, an antler to do this with the tip of a deer antler. But you can use bone to do this with too. A little bit rougher flaking, and I can just use another stone to do this. But once you grasp the concept of what's going on and how it works, you can use anything. Once I learned how to do this, people would see me doing it. I was basically just kind of like a hometown novelty, but guys around town would see me and say, I'd like to learn how to do that. I said, well, come on, I'll show you. I'll get you started. I'll show you what I know. It's a passion I have to teach others how this is done. Now, I'm not the best at it. I know a lot about a lot of stuff, but even being a master flint knapper, I don't consider myself a master because I still have a lot to learn. But if I can show somebody and save them a lot of trouble learning how to do this, that's important. It should be carried on. This is an unbroken legacy. This is an old, ancient technology.